2, 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Government Operations and Regulations Committee. Today is Tuesday, August 15th, and I do detect a quorum. Council members Young, Withers, Porterfield, Parker, Cash, and myself at present, so 6 present. We have a consent agenda of items 2, 3, and 4, and then we'll take up the 2 bills on third reading. First item is Resolution RS 2023-2340 by Roten and Hancock that approves an MOU between the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Metropolitan Government for participation in the E-Verify program. We're not going to take that one up. It was deferred indefinitely in Budget and Finance yesterday, so by rule it's deferred.
It is actually not deferred by rule, so if you guys want to have a motion on it, then that would be great.
All right, well, we will do that then. Can I get a motion?
This is number 1.
Yep, number 1, sorry.
Move to defer indefinitely.
Second, the indefinite deferral.
Okay. Any discussion?
I thought this was to keep an employee. What happened? Why did it get deferred?
I can answer that. Turk had some concerns about E-Verify as a program broad strokes. They believe it have some maybe bad data or some other other things. So they opted to recommend for NDOT to lose the employee and not join E-Verify.
I believe the vote yesterday was 5, 2, and 6. 5 in favor of a deferral, 2 against a deferral, and I think there were maybe 6 abstentions, maybe 4. Don't quote me on that vote, somewhere in that, but yeah, it was indefinitely deferred, so.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
6-2 to 5.
6-2 to 5. That was in the
Close, pretty
ballpark.
close.
If I may just say, this is something that I think I had brought up maybe with Director Hall and some folks in the administration after hearing feedback from departments. So I'm sorry that we're not able to get something in line for the particular employee. It doesn't sound like that's in the cards for this term, but I do think this is something that we need to get to work on like immediately when the new term begins in October. So I know that like committee chairs and all that is a little bit up in the air and whatnot, but y'all please reach out proactively with us if there's anything we can do to kind of be ready to hit the ground running in October on this issue.
If I may seek clarification on your comment about hitting the ground running, I do want to take a moment to say that yesterday's discussion with the Budget and Finance Committee was insightful. I felt like the concerns and open questions, because I think that from that abstention vote you saw there was quite a few outstanding, like just seeking to understand questions. The issues I think centered around less about how Metro government or Metro HR would be using it, more concerns about questions that frankly I don't know that anybody at NDOT or any other department, certainly not HR, could even answer. Really centered around how that information could be accessed or shared with other divisions within Homeland Security. And that is something that is far outside my knowledge scope or purview. And I don't know how to resolve those or address or answer those concerns because it is so far out of our league. And I really kind of racked my brain last night trying to think if there was any Metro party that would help us understand that. I mean, possibly a mayor's office. But as I mentioned before, this request to use E-Verify initially was at the request of finance because of payroll and tax issues and risks that are real to them every day. It's something that would be administered by our office, but there's not anything necessarily broke about how we are doing our I-9 process now. This was to help address and systematically get cleaner from a tax and payroll perspective for finance, which is important to all of us, right? Then, fast forward, we have another issue where we have, it sounds like not only one employee that's in question now, but a lot of employees, applicants that have been turned away in the past who have not pursued this because there is a particular visa that specifically, I think for this line of work, these type of engineering work, 70% I think you had said.
Well, it's more, so not 70% need the STEM OPT extension, which our employee has.
Agreed.
But about 70% of our candidates that we're getting, qualified candidates for our engineer positions, which are hard to fill to begin with, we are seeing the majority of them are foreign born at the very least. which is due to some trends in that kind of industry. So what we're seeing is we'll get candidates that are qualified, interested. We reach out to them. One of their first questions is whether we're e-verified. And when we say that we're not, they say thanks but no thanks, and they leave.
Because
And that
they're
is-
likely pursuing this particular
Extension.
type of extension.
So they have
And
more time.
the preference on behalf of these applicants for E-Verify is a matter of, it's the most expedited way
It's
to
the
get
most
there.
expedited, it helps them get that particular extension, and it is quickly becoming the industry standard for verification of citizenship and work eligibility status. I mean, I said this in the committee yesterday, but we are, I would say, behind our peers in the state with being in this program or not. Essentially, TDOT, Murfreesboro, Franklin, Memphis, Knoxville, Chattanooga, all of them are e-verified. And currently, due to state law, every private employer with more than 25 employees is required to be e-verified. So we're one of the last to even consider this in the first place. And they are opting other employers that are e-verified so that they have more options when it comes to their work eligibility.
How about, a couple things. One is, based on what I've seen, over 50% of folks who go through E-Verify can be verified incorrectly. Oftentimes, there's somebody with somebody else's papers. So I took your social security number and I put it in the E-Verify system. I got hired, and I'm actually not who I say I am. So that is a real problem with it. I do think that we have an opportunity to hit the ground running with some sort of an initiative to look at a sponsorship program. There are other organizations, as I understand it, that we could take a look at and see what are they doing in lieu of E-Verify, so that we could see what we could do to bring these employees on and verify, their citizenship or their status rather.
I'm happy to try to research some of that. When we met with and spoke with Turk, we asked them for any recommendations they had. They had said that there were operational issues and risk for Metro. We said if you could share anything you have, because I think we're all after the same effort, right? We're all after the same outcome. But then I also asked for any recommendations they had. None of that was really included. We did get some of those recommendations, but it was strengthen your I-9 compliance. Well, we already do a great job there. Like, it's just a paper form. We're doing it. We make everybody do it. And, we could hire an attorney that could review our documentation. I'm not sure that that's a gap for us. So even when we asked Turk for alternatives, possibly even sponsorship programs, that wasn't something that they offered as feedback to us when we specifically asked them for it in a call last
And
week.
even including data, I mean, you shared, I don't know if that was from personal experience or from Turk or other similar organizations, the 50% faulty.
It was from neither.
Got
It
it.
was from my own research.
Got it. Yeah, we had asked, when Turk brought up issues that they had, we had asked for specifics. What were the issues? What are the issues you found? Any examples? And we weren't provided with them. They didn't really heed our requests for alternatives or for more information, and we even pursued having a second meeting before the end of the week last week, and were unable to corral participants for that from the related organizations.
So I can look into a sponsorship program. It'll take some time. I'm not necessarily going to be able to hit the ground running per se with this particular item. I think at this point, I know it's something we have to advance because HR has to do it, but we don't have an operational gap other than losing possibly qualified candidates. And what I heard several council members say yesterday was that he or she should pursue other legal paths, and that was what they were more comfortable with. So, which is, again, on the employee, lengthier, more costly, more time consuming, and I know that NDOT is expending a lot of resources very well, and I really liked Attorney Russo last night. I mean, he was really helpful to clarify a number of things.
Definitely he was. Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to be careful that we're not dunking on community organizations that are trying to be helpful. I hear the concern that, they didn't provide alternatives, but I would gently pushed back that, I mean, that's not their job. They did provide concerns, and looking in the letter, this appears to me that there are several alternatives that were listed, so I don't know if the alternatives, well, I know it came to y'all because you mentioned a couple of the things, but it also talks about the STEM Opt program, so there were multiple alternatives that were provided, but either way, I just don't want this to kind of inadvertently turn into a dunking session on a organization, and I know that was not your intent whatsoever, but I don't want that to happen. So I think we kind of did. I don't want to speak for you. Do we address your concern?
Well, I think more than anything, I was hoping that we were responsive to Councilmember Parker. He wanted to hit the ground running, and I want to be responsive to that call from him. I'm trying to understand how, so absolutely not at all. I'm seeking any guidance on what it is we should be running after and where we should be looking.
The attorney who was here yesterday, is he available?
Today?
No, to help guide.
He
To the
did.
extent I can find resources to pay him to help me, yeah. Which are not in my budget, but yeah.
I understand.
I
I guess my point is that so then it's a cost situation, but there are resources out there that maybe we could explore.
And
so.
it might be more helpful to connect in the coming weeks with council members who have an interest in this. I'm happy to communicate with you on this. I haven't dug into this myself at all. So, I mean, aside from like reading legislation and listening to the discussion yesterday, so I'm not going to have any fresh ideas in this committee, but I'm super happy to, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here the next 6 weeks or however long until the next meeting. So, like, just, I think it might be best to connect offline and try to see what we can coordinate and research. I'm
Yeah.
I
happy to
can
help.
find the right folks at Homeland Security. I'm in semi-regular contact with folks in Homeland Security at the kind of assistant secretary level. So we've done this with other federal agencies where we set up virtual calls. We did that with Health and Human Services just a couple weeks ago on an issue to find the right folks around E-Verify so we can dig into some of those IT and privacy. It might be something, Keith, you on the IT side might understand the lingo, but we can get you the right folks
That seemed
at
to be
Homeland Security.
a lot of the centered issues last night, how that information could be accessed or shared.
Because I would guess somebody's asked these across the country before. I mean, it's deployed all over, so they probably have been asked and answered all these questions before. I'll find that for you. I think that'll help your conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's good we have all the right people in the room. Thank you. Councilmember Young, did you have another thing?
Yep.
Oh, no, I had no idea there was all this complexity. I was just caught off guard when it was indefinitely deferred, and I didn't know why. And holy cow, okay.
All right, I think we're good on discussion. There's a motion to defer this indefinitely. It was properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, it is indefinitely deferred. Now, the next three items are on consent resolutions. RS 2023-2371, Roten and Benedict. It approves a contract between the Metropolitan Government and Johnson Control, Inc. to provide Metasys service maintenance and upgrades. The next one is RS 2023-23, boy, that's easy to say. RS 2023-2372 by Roten, Benedict, and Welsh. It approves Amendment 1 to a grant from the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee to the ITS Department to fund the position of Digital Inclusion Officer, to manage the allocation of resources to ensure equitable service delivery and expand economic opportunities in meeting the needs of the underserved. And RS 2023-2373 by Roten, Benedict, and Welsh. It approves Amendment Number 2 to a sole source contract between the Metropolitan Government and Tyler Technologies, Inc. to increase the value of the contract. Any problems with the consent agenda here? Okay, could I get a motion for the consent?
Move consent agenda.
A second?
I just had a question, Chair. I would not like the items pulled, but could we get a brief explanation on them without pulling them? Would you allow it?
I think we'll.
I think you can
Yeah.
procedurally because you can make the rule. Am I right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah, we'll just take
technically
them
the
all.
chair gets the role, but
Yeah, yeah, we'll keep them on
Yeah.
consent. Could I get
Look at the
an
brief from the briefing
explanation
packet.
first? I think all
JCI
three are, okay. Who's JCI?
Is that the Johnson Control?
That's Johnson Control.
Mike Jameson has given me some information on this because procurement couldn't be here tonight. So So the current contract expired with Medistus. Am I saying it right? Sure. Okay, there you go. It expired on August 22nd. It was a sole source. Apparently, this is what Ginger as a layperson understands. There is software, and there are only a few providers that know how to use this Metastatus software. Johnson Controls is one of those. They are the sole manufacturer and service provider for this particular software. And this software is in some of our metro facilities. So that's why it's a sole source, is the current contract is up. The previous 5-year contract, the total spend was $204,000. This contract, it says it has an estimated value of up to $4 million, but it looks like in the past we have not spent that much. We've only spent $204,000. It's a proprietary software, and that's why either Johnson Controls or Train has to be the company that deals with this software. So that's what I know.
Building automation software, so it is very proprietary to the systems within those buildings, so it makes total sense.
Okay,
This is
thank you for that. And Director Durbin, you want to tell us about the other two? Digital Inclusion Officer?
Digital Inclusion Officer. So we have funded a digital inclusion officer through grants from outside organizations. One of those organizations fell through on their commitment, and therefore the Community Foundation stepped up to make up that $25,000 gap that we had. So kudos to Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. I'll just say that. The second one is a contract to increase the value of the contract for Tyler, which is the company we use for Open Data Platform, as well as Nashville. And so we just need to re-up that to be able to increase the value, I think, to like $278 or something like that from $218, which it was previously.
Thank you. No more questions. Thank you.
All right. So the consent agenda has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, they passed 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. So on to bills on third reading. We have substitute BL 2023-1858 by Withers. It amends the Metro Code by deleting sections 17.32.020B3 and 17.40.510C and adding new language in those sections clarifying that signs regulated by the Metropolitan Department of Codes are to be maintained so that all sign panels remain complete and intact. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Withers?
Does the Codes Department have anything to add to this specifically?
No, we appreciate working with you on this. This is gonna help us out abating signs that are missing panels.
Such as the Burger King sign on Gallisman?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Got it.
The zoning administrator had some discussions with Metro Legal about, specifically if we could issue an abate. The missing panels with this language would now be considered a structural issue, which kind of strengthens the argument there for us. So.
Well, I will say that the late, great Representative Bill Beck would be glad to hear this because there is a sign in District 7 that he said, Emily, could you get that fixed, please? So I won't name the business, but I know that he would appreciate this. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is approved, 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And substitute BL 2023-2106 by Syracuse, O'Connell, Pulley, and others. It amends the Metro Code, sections 9.20.010 to limit amplified noise and enhance enforcement in order to ensure adequate public health and safety. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We had this re-referred to this committee for third reading because there was an MOU that we wanted to see the terms of. That has now, this is the bill that downtown requires amplification, speakers to be turned inside rather than, Director McDonough, thank you for being here tonight. So the speakers will be turned inside, and the reason why is because where this came from is MNPD cannot hear each other over the noise downtown when they're on their walkie-talkies. And so, but the bill as written asks for enforcement from MNPD, NDOT, and codes. So what this committee wanted to see the last time was what that MOU looks like. The MOU is hammered out all week long. It was circulated. So I guess if there's any discussion, any questions about that, or if you'd like, yeah.
I mean, just briefly, with where the MOU, if I may,
Yeah,
sorry.
please
Chair.
do.
If we've got representatives from NDOT and codes here, do y'all feel comfortable with the MOU as it was hammered out? Cool, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, passes 6 in favor, 0 against, and with that, the meeting, we are at the end of the agenda. The meeting is adjourned. Chair.